right, welcome to today's episode of Tomorrow's Leader, where we dive deep on all things leader related to leading you and leading other people. And by the way, I've gotten questions about, okay, well, who is this really, this podcast for? Like, is it formal leaders? Is it somebody, is it parents? You've had, different themes. And my answer is, you know what? It's for everybody. Because guess what? Whether you realize it or not, you're a leader. So whether you're a formal leader in a company, or you're a parent or a teacher, or anybody, it doesn't matter. You are leading yourself, right? You're leading other people. You have an impact on other people. You may not even realize that, but you are. But if you figure out and learn how to lead yourself, your whole life will change. So part of this always is going to be about everything that I'm relating to leaders of companies and leadership principles. This applies to you individually to use it. So I hope you find that helpful. I know a lot of you have given me great feedback on that. So I went recently to play frisbee golf, and I've never played it before. I don't know how many of you have played it, but it is a blast. And I was always looking forward to playing it because I'd seen it and heard of it and saw videos of people playing it. I'm like, that really looks cool. I love playing golf. I love playing frisbee. So what better than to combine two great sports? I suck at golf, but I like it. It's a fun sport. Frisbee, I'm pretty good at. I can throw a frisbee. I can throw a frisbee pretty far. I throw pretty frequently with my son. And so I was really looking forward to getting out there. And I'm like, okay, this will be cool. See what it's like. And frisbee golf, for those of you who haven't done it, is like, it'll be maybe 100-yard type of hole, so they're relatively short. Some of them, or at least the one that we played on. Some of them will go through woods. I mean, you got to literally get it narrowly through trees. I mean, it's not like you're playing on a golf course per se. It's a much different environment. And at the end, the hole basically is you've got to throw this frisbee in this chain net, which stands up off the ground. So you got to aim it right, and it hits the chains and drops into this bucket, and that counts as getting the frisbee in the hole. So you start off just like you would golf. You're at a tee box rather, and it's the same concept as golf. You're trying to get it in as few shots as possible or throws as possible, and the winner is the person with the lowest score. So I went with my brother-in-law Jeff, and I went with my son Nick and my nephew Gavin, and we decided, okay, well, let's team up a little bit. So it was Gavin and Nick versus Jeff and I. And I was just really excited. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I'm going to get out there. This is a 100-yard hole. I am going to drive the green, so to speak, or I'm going to try for literally a hole-in-one if I can try and do this. And I get my frisbee, and if you've never played, these are like smaller frisbees, like little discs. And actually, Gavin goes first, and Nick goes, and they send it pretty far, but maybe halfway down the field, the hole. And so I get up there and I'm like, put everything in. I get myself motivated. I'm like, and I put everything into this throw, and I let the thing go, and it goes a little bit, and then it just drops. And I'm like, wow, that didn't go very far. I thought for sure I'd throw it, 100 yards. I mean, that thing probably didn't go 40 yards. And then my son and Gavin started laughing, and they said, well, Dad, you're using a putter. I'm like, what do you mean I'm using a putter? And they're like, yeah, you guys have putters. You have 3 putters and a mid-range, and you don't have a driving frisbee. I'm like, well, I didn't even know there's like all these different, when I first started, and then we started looking at them, and they're all different discs and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, well, that's great. So Jeff and I played the entire round with just 3 putters and a mid-range, and trying to throw it really hard and far, and being disappointed and frustrated when it wouldn't really go far. But it was still a blast. The boys kicked our butt, but it was close. It was close. I think if we played again, we'd kick their butt. So that's a public challenge, Nick and Gavin. But so what does this have to do with leadership? Okay, so here's my thought. My thought for the day is, a lot of times we end up having all the motivation, all the desire. We're really excited about doing something. And unfortunately, we just don't have the right tools. We don't have what we need to actually succeed with something. And when it comes to leadership, there's all kinds of leaders out there that want to take on a new challenge. But ultimately, do they have all the right tools that they need to handle that new opportunity? And as a leader developing leaders, my job is to set them up for success, right? So one of the most important things a leader of an organization can do is develop people and develop your next tier of leaders and develop your replacement. Once you move on, who's going to take over? And if you're not doing that and consciously doing that and investing in that, then you're ultimately leading toward failure. You're not developing your people, and then somebody else will. Guess what? They're going to leave your organization because people don't like to not grow. A players don't like to not grow. A players are the ones that want to continue to grow. They want to be stretched. They want to be challenged. They want new opportunities. And if you're not you're developing them for those opportunities, to succeed in those opportunities, then ultimately you're going to lose them. So what does this look like? Well, I know a lot of leaders that have been given assignments or projects or new opportunities, and they just did not get the right guidance, training, resources, support, communication that's going to set them up for success. I've seen leaders thrown into kind of like a Shark Tank, where it's just like, okay, well, sink or swim, and hopefully you make it and survive. That's not leadership. That's not development. That's basically just throwing somebody out there. A leader's job is you've got to prepare that person for all the things that they're going to expect. So I know if I'm developing somebody and they're going to take over do a turnaround, I was fortunate to do 4 of them in my career. They're tough. So I know what to expect going into that. And that means taking over an organization that's failing or not doing well and turning it around and to make it successful. I know what to expect. So I can prepare somebody for that. Hey, you're going to go in, you're going to have a bunch of people not like what you say. They're not going to want to buy in. They're not going to want to work hard, blah, blah, blah. You're going to get some conflict. Here's what's going to happen. Here's how you handle that. I can prepare somebody for that, right? So, now that I've played frisbee golf, I could prepare somebody for that. I mean, I may not be able to teach them how to play at a real high level, but I can say, hey, you know what? Here's one thing you're going to do. Make sure you don't bring just putters. You want it. There's actually a driver. You want to buy the right one. You want to buy the right frisbee, and then you're going to have a higher success at the game. You're going to have more fun too, because people enjoy winning, right? It's more fun. Think about sports that you love. You love the sports that you're good at. Now, golf I'm not good at, but I still like it. That's one of the few sports I don't think you have to be good at to really love. But for the most part, hey, I was good at baseball. I loved baseball. I wasn't really good at basketball. I didn't really like that as much. But, we tend to love the things that we're really good at. So why not set your team up, set your people up, set your leaders up for success? Give them every advantage you possibly can. Yeah, so what? So if you had that opportunity and you wish somebody 10 years ago had told you the stuff that you're telling them, that's a good thing. Don't be resentful of the fact that somebody didn't develop you the way you're developing other people. Just make sure you're developing other people. Learn from the things you had in the past. Learn from the ways that you were not developed and change that moving forward. Okay, you can make a big impact on somebody's career just by letting them understand what they're walking into. Hey, I'm putting you in charge of this new division. This is a tough assignment. Here's the challenges you're going to face. Here's the pushback you might get from certain people. And here's how you're going to need to deal with it. And here's the communication here's how we're going to send this out. Here's how we're going to make sure everybody knows who's doing. And here's what I would suggest that you do when you first start. Let them give every advantage to help them succeed. Not only will it help them, it will help their organization, and it will also help you. It will reflect great on you too, because that's what a leader does, is they promote people and help them have higher levels of success than they had. So it doesn't just apply for organizational leaders. This applies to you. It applies to you with your kids. It applies to you just with yourself. Okay, hey, is there a way that I can make sure that I have the right things stacked in my favor for success? Well, hey, when I played the frisbee golf, I could have asked somebody. I could have gone on YouTube. I could have said, okay, well, let me learn a little bit about this game. So anything you're doing, you have the resources and the tools or the access to get the tools and the resources that you need to increase the likelihood of your success. Again, when you're having success and you're good at something, you enjoy it. When you enjoy it, you're happy. You got less stress, and life is good, right? Why not aim for a great life? So that's my, whatever this is, 10 minutes of thoughts and stories today. So hope you've enjoyed. Again, keep the ideas coming, keep them rolling, keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing, all that kind of good stuff. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.